And a happy Thursday to you all. Trailer Trash Tim here. How is your mama and them? I'm glad all of you have joined me today. Thank you so much for being here. There's a little bit of a format change that you may notice starting with today's video, which is that I'm just going right into the video without an introduction or a shout out to Sam's Butcher Shop. But there's your shout out, Sam. If you guys want great meat, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding you, samsbutchershop.com. What happened is my editor is on vacation for the next couple of weeks, so it's just going to be me. And I am not a geek. I don't understand how all this editing jazz works. So I'm just going to shoot videos and upload them as you see, and we'll return to a more normal format, I guess you could say, toward the end of the month. So just hang in there with us, and we still got a lot to cover. So let's get going on this wonderful Thursday. I want to start with something that I touched on 2 or 3 days ago, but I have really been mulling this in my mind and dwelling on this. Pardon me. It is an idea which was first offered by Vivek Ramaswamy, who is a candidate for the GOP nomination, as you know. Vivek, to me, is by far the most impressive candidate running for president, with the possible exception of Trump. Vivek calls himself Trump with fresher legs. You can make up your own mind on that. I'm sure there's areas that are problematic with Vivek, as there are with all candidates. And, of course, I'm not so naive or gullible as to be all in for anyone. I still believe, as things stand right now, this is Trump's nomination and election to lose. I can't predict the future, but I believe as things stand right now, if we have any sort of fair and equitable election, I believe that Trump is going to be reelected to the presidency. But I believe also that Vivek Ramaswamy has a very bright political future. This man is clear-headed. He is articulate. He is young. He has tremendous vision. He is highly successful. I believe he's a billionaire himself. And I'm really impressed with his character and his command, not only of the language, but of ideas. And he is saying things, ladies and gentlemen, that I've never heard any politician say. And what I'm talking about specifically is where he offered the idea recently of getting into office, and on day one, he says, he plans to fire half of the federal bureaucracy. Specifically, he says, if you are a federal bureaucrat, if you work for the federal government, and your Social Security ends with an odd number, you're out, you're fired. I'll tell you, when I first heard him say that, number one, I was really excited by the prospect. That's something I had never heard. And number two, just that. I had never heard this before from any political candidate, and I found myself asking, why is that? Why is that? And Vivek was being interviewed last night by Laura Loomer, and I watched that show as well. And Vivek was basically talking about this again, saying how he would fire half the federal workforce. And, it's like the ultimate red meat for people like me. What a fantastic idea. Let's talk about this for just a minute. Let's explore it and go a little bit deeper. Are you aware of how many people work for the United States federal government? Do you know what that number is? The number is 3 million. There are 3 million people, civilian employees, that work for the federal government. 3 million bureaucrats. This does not include people who hold federal office or their staffs. This is just people who draw a paycheck from the United States federal government. They're bureaucrats. They're policy wonks. I don't know what these people do. I have no idea what they do. But here's what I do know, and I want to ask you this question. If what Vivek proposes to do could actually happen, if if it could be that Vivek or Trump or somebody could be sworn into office and one of their first acts is to give the pink slip to half of the federal bureaucracy, half of the bureaucrats in the federal government. If that could really happen, how do you believe it would negatively affect your life? I'm going to submit to you it wouldn't affect you one little bit. Not negatively anyway, perhaps positively, certainly. You know, I've been thinking, how often in my own life do I have an encounter with a federal bureaucrat? I can't think of any time when I have an encounter with a federal bureaucrat at all. I've been thinking about it. I got audited a few years back. I had an encounter then. That wasn't very pleasant. Other than that, I don't have any encounters with any federal bureaucrats. Of course, it's kind of surprising there's so many of them. But if half of them were to disappear tomorrow, would you notice? Would I notice? I don't think so. But do you know what bureaucrats do better than anybody else or anything else? They suck freedom. They suck liberty. Remember what Reagan said? You never want to hear a knock on your door. Hello, I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help. That's not the words you ever want to hear. We are so top-heavy with bureaucrats. Now, what's the difference and I think our ratio is off. What is the difference in a bureaucrat and an elected official? Well, folks, in theory, you can get rid of an elected official at the next election. You got a congressman you don't like, enough people don't like him or her, they can vote him out of office. The same with a senator, the same with a governor, the same with a president. You don't like Joe Biden as president? I can't believe you would. You can vote him out of office by voting for the opposition. Try doing that with a bureaucrat. You can't do that. They're in for life. Once they get hired, they're never going to get fired. They can't be voted out of office. They're in there until they decide to retire. And they do nothing for us which improves our lives, I maintain. Certainly not my life. I mean, if you just dropped me into the country from another country or another planet and made me an American citizen, you know what I would say to you? Okay, I can take it from here. And that's it. I can take it from here. I don't need the intrusion of a bureaucrat in my life. As an American, as I pursue, the famous phrase, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as I pursue personally life, liberty, and happiness, I don't need any federal help in my pursuit of those things. All that a bureaucrat can do for me is keep me from achieving those stated goals of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, or wealth, or what have you. If there's a home I want to purchase, or a vehicle I want to purchase, or land I wish to purchase, I don't need the help of a bureaucrat. If I want to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, I don't need a bureaucrat to help me. You could fire half the federal bureaucracy, and I'd never notice, and neither would you. I would contend you could fire 90% of them, and it would make our lives better in America. So this is a fruit that is ripe to be picked. I love the fact that Vivek has proposed this. This idea needs to spread like wildfire. And I really hope and pray that Donald Trump pays attention to this. I hope and pray that Donald Trump says, old Vivek's got a pretty good idea. Vivek, if you will, I believe has the stones to do exactly what he's talking about. I don't know if Trump does or not. I know he didn't. I don't know if the idea just didn't occur to him, or is it just the fact that Trump isn't really a fiscal conservative, or that he governs as a liberal, or at least a moderate left of center. Maybe he doesn't see the need or never saw the need to do something that needs to be done like this. Folks, We need to get rid of the federal bureaucracy. This needs to happen. The American government is huge, way too big, way too bloated. Something like this has got to happen. And Vivek is the only person I know of who is proposing it. This idea is absolute gold, and it needs to catch on like fire. So yes, we need to terminate vast swaths of the federal bureaucracy. We don't need all these bureaucrats, folks. We simply don't need them. They need to go. They need to get out into the marketplace like everybody else has to and sell themselves in the marketplace. You know, take their skills, their marketable skills to the marketplace, to the private sector, and get a regular job like everybody else has to do. All of us normal Americans, we have to get out here and fight for survival and fight for jobs by presenting ourselves and our skills in the marketplace. A bureaucrat doesn't have to do that. A bureaucrat just fills a slot that somebody created for them to do as a favor to some politician somewhere. This bureaucracy is overbloated and overblown and way too big, and we need to trim it drastically. Thank you, Vivek, for bringing up an idea whose time has come. I hope we hear more of that. I hope it catches fire, and I hope that it catches the ear of one Donald Trump, who is in a position to do exactly what Vivek is proposing. And you would think he'd be motivated by now to do something like this. All right, let's move on. I want to touch real quickly on Tommy Tuberville, senator from Alabama, who, as you know, has been holding up a lot of military appointments and promotions over the issue of taxpayer-funded abortions for members of the military, which he opposes, and rightly so. No matter where you stand on the abortion issue, perhaps we could all agree that taxpayers who do not believe in abortion, who do not support such a thing, should not be forced at gunpoint. Don't pay your taxes and somebody will come to your house with a gun. Okay, that's what I mean by that. We should not be forced to fund abortions for military members. And Tommy Tuberville is saying enough of this, and he is holding up all these promotions, and he's got, of course, all the Democrats against him. And, of course, he's got so many of these panty-waist Republican senators that are up there against him as well. They're just more like, oh, come on, Tommy. Come on, man. Let's not make an issue out of this. People like Mittens Romney, people like that. Mitch McConnell, the turtle. They wish that Tuberville would just drop this, but he's not dropping it, and good for him. Tuberville is a breath of fresh air. Tommy Tuberville is a guy who actually said before he was elected that, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And you know what? He got elected, and he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. How rare is this to have a politician tell us they're going to do something before they're elected? If you elect me, I'll do this. We elected him, and guess what? He's actually doing it. And he's got people on both sides of the aisle in Washington absolutely exasperated because he is actually a man of principle. He is actually doing what he said he was going to do. Tuberville, good for you, my friend. Don't let up. You took a stand. Keep taking your stand. This is great. What's happening up there? We don't see this very much, but we're seeing it now, and I, for one, am glad to see it. I'm proud that he's my senator. Quite frankly, I wish we could get rid of our other senator, but I guess perky little Katie Britt's in there for a while. Lord knows she's got the money machine and the neocons behind her. The director of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, is on an emergency trip to Ukraine. This appeared today in the Asia Times. The headline reads, CIA boss heads for Z-Day, Zelensky, in Kiev as Ukraine falters. Now, what have I been saying about Ukraine the last few days? I have been telling you that Ukraine is losing this war, and they are going to lose this war. Russia is going to prevail, and this is what has members of the American deep state in a panic because it's not so much that they want Ukraine to prevail against Russia, although they do, but they're not going to, as I've maintained. But they've got a lot of sticks in the fire in Kiev, if you know what I'm talking about. They have a lot of financial interest. Hello, the corrupt Biden crime family and other politicians in Washington. They have a lot of financial interest and investment in Ukraine. And that's why they're supporting Zelensky, and that's why they're falling all over themselves to send him $100 million here and $100 million there. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of $1 million to prop up the Zelensky regime, which everyone knows is going to fail. Everyone knows that Ukraine is going to lose this war, and so now it's as if the deep state in America is finally admitting, without saying so, that yeah, this is a lost cause. So the director of the CIA, William Burns, this is in the Asia Times on Wednesday, yesterday, November 15th. Wednesday, November 15th is Z-Day for the war in Ukraine. CIA Chief William Burns will arrive in Kiev for urgent secret meetings with Zelensky. It is worth asking, how come Burns is on an urgent mission to Ukraine? The answer to the question is that Ukraine is imploding. The crumbling of the Zelensky regime is unsurprising. Ukraine has been sustaining far too many casualties to survive for much longer. Ukraine either must find a way to make a deal with Russia or face an internal rebellion. And the story goes on and on and on, and that is exactly what's happening. Russia is prevailing in this war. They are going to win this war sooner or later. And the CIA boss is in Ukraine. And I can only speculate, but I'm reading from what the Asia Times is saying, and I believe it's accurate. He is probably talking to Zelensky about how to save face, how to bow out of this thing gracefully, and how we can manage the defeat of Ukraine. Now, exactly what that looks like, I don't know. But at some point, Zelensky or the powers that be in Ukraine or the American power brokers are going to have to sit down at a table, ostensibly with Putin. And they're going to have to hammer out a new paradigm, if you will, for Ukraine, which is not going to win. There's going to be no Ukraine in NATO. That is not going to happen. Putin will not allow it, nor should he. But there is coming, I predict, a negotiated end to this war, and Putin has all the cards. He doesn't have to give anything, and he's not going to. I do not believe. All right, one more thing here for today. I have to get to Nikki Haley, neocon Nikki Haley, who just keeps inserting herself in the news. I talked yesterday about how, or was it the day before, I forget, about how she really got into a tiff with Vivek, who really put her in her place and basically called her Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels, which is exactly right. She's just a neocon extraordinaire. And he also pointed out how she made $8 million. She was virtually bankrupt before she resigned her position as UN ambassador in the Trump administration. And she took a position as a board member of the Boeing Corporation. And what do you know? Just a few short years later, she's made $8 million. Isn't that interesting? Wow, Nikki, where'd you get $8 million? You're a savvy investor, aren't you? Did you get some advice from Hillary? I need to be a board member for Boeing. Man, you really, they do more at board meetings than just give you a little sampling of peanuts and some cocktails. They give you millions, evidently. Did all the board members get $8 million, or was it just neocon Nikki? This woman is so corrupt. She's so evil. She's so eaten up with corruption. She is so incompetent. She needs to go down, and she needs to go down quickly. But she just keeps giving me plenty of material for the Triple T show. And here she goes now. The latest thing from neocon Nikki Haley. Let's see if you've heard of this. She says that posting anonymously on social media and posting anonymously online is a, quote, threat to national security. She said, quote, every person on social media should be verified by their name, their real name. And once she is in the White House, once neocon Nikki is president, she says every user will be verified by their name for national security purposes. Can you believe this? You want to talk about a surveillance state? This is how these kind of people talk. You know what I'm saying? Does this sound like this to any of you? You're not going to go online anymore and use these pseudonyms. You're not going to go online anymore and use some nickname. No, sir. You go online with President Haley. By George, you're going to give us your real name. Because, you know, that's how we're going to keep all the terrorists at bay, don't you know? Now, how many of you that are subscribed to the Triple T channel and you comment down below, how many of you use your real name? Some of you may, I don't know. But most people use a nickname of some kind. Why is that? Because of safety. It's as simple as that. Because there is safety in relative anonymity. I don't use my real name on this channel. I could, but, you know, I could use the name that I was given at birth, which is Shirley Jackson. Only kidding. But Nikki Haley says, no, sir, if you're going to be online from now on, you're going to use your real name. Well, Nikki, I'm sorry, darling, but that doesn't work for me, and that doesn't work for most people who are online, on social media sites or what have you. This is a terrible idea. This is a horrible idea. This is an idea that you would expect from somebody like this. Well, maybe the shoe fits. Maybe that 3-inch heel fits your foot, Nikki Haley. But I want you to hear what Vivek's response to this was. Vivek responded to this on Twitter. This is gold, folks. Vivek said this: Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison wrote the Federalist Papers under pseudonyms. Did you know that? Here's what they would say to Nikki Haley if they were alive. Get your heels off my neck and go back to England, Nikki. I am getting a severe man crush on Vivek with each passing day, I have to tell you. Now, I'm going to support Donald Trump, and I think that Donald Trump has the inside track to the nomination. He's up by, depending on the poll you hold to, he's up by 50, even 60 points to his closest competition, which would be probably either DeSantis or neocon Nikki. Maybe we should call her another name other than neocon Nikki. Maybe we should call her this Nikki. The shoe fits as far as I'm concerned. But I got to tell you, if Vivek were able to get some ground here, get some traction, and it were actually a contest between Vivek and Trump, old Triple T would have to do some serious thinking and praying about that, because I am impressed with this young man. He is saying all the right things, particularly when he talks about day one, half the federal workforce, you're out. Oh, man. There's your red meat right there. All right, folks, that's what's going on this Thursday. Give me your comments down below about everything I talked about today. I would really love to hear what you have to say, and you don't even have to use your real name. I don't care. That's fine with me. Hey, if you would do me a big favor, like this video down below, hit that thumbs up button. If you have not yet subscribed to the Triple T channel, hit that subscribe button down there. So where is it? There? Is it there? I think it's over here. Hit that subscribe button and come and join our community. That would be fantastic. Everybody go out there and have a tremendous Thursday. This is Trailer Trash Tim, and I will see you tomorrow.